wife, son, family, house, car, mortgage, payments, all that kind of thing. And then to be like mid-30s and realize like, oh, I gotta like kind of start all over was very kind of devastating. And music was the only thing at the time that could kind of pull me out of it, I think.
In the immortal words of Francis Baptiste, I'm barely surviving here, the inescapable rising cost of living has stripped me of my humanity, and I'm hoping for a little more.
I'm Eric Chen, and you are listening to Inlet Wire, your direct line to BC artists. For Francis Baptiste, music did not just come back into his life, it also brought him back to his language, family, and heritage.
So about like 6-7 years ago, I started playing music again. I returned to playing music and left my career in e-commerce and found that it was a very good change. In the end, good change for my mental health and for my life. I think the whole process of kind of shifting gears was very painful because it's like it accompanied the end of my marriage and then a couple of years of like really challenging single father years, and plus I'd become a musician full time, which meant I had very little income. So Finn and I were very poor, and I was struggling a lot with substance abuse and alcoholism and stuff like that. And luckily, though, I feel pretty good and healthy, and with the support of my loving partner, Brittany, everything is kind of working out these days. But for someone like me who always used substances to deal with emotions, I've found that music was really the only positive, non-substance way for me to work through my feelings and work through my depression. And I think you can hear it a lot on the first and second album. It really helped me, I think.
If I'm screaming, I'm just dreaming of a day that I don't hate this life. Don't try to save me if I'm drowning. I'm just clowning.
For Francis, coming back to music was only part of it. The songs were changing too.
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, I've kind of had a little more perspective in terms of choosing what I want to talk about. I think when you're younger, and especially like because I used to play in a lot of bands in my early 20s and my teens, you tend to kind of write things stream of conscious. You're just like whatever angsty thing you're feeling, or you're like mad about some breakup or whatever, and you write a song about it. Nowadays, I feel like I have the benefit of kind of choosing what's important to me, and especially like through these tough years, having to reevaluate like what my values are and what's important to me. And one of those things was my heritage, my Indigenous heritage. I'm from the Oswego Indian Band, and my father's from the Oswego Indian Band, my mother's from the Penticton Indian Band. So I grew up on the res at the Oswego Indian Band, or OIB as they call it. And I've lived here in East Vancouver for about 21 years. So I've been kind of removed from my community, removed from that kind of res culture by choice. I mean, like I came here to go to school, and then I met someone and got married and had a kid and all, life just kind of tumbles that way. But realizing, especially after the death of my grandma and the birth of my son, family is very important and heritage is very important, and kind of understanding where you come from is really important.
Not trade suffering any day. Trade a heartache for a hangover. There ain't no aspirin for your soul. Oh no, ain't no fixing what's been broke. Not trade suffering any day.
And over time, the songs started carrying something else too. Heritage, language, and the question of what gets passed on.
So around the time that my grandmother died and that my son was learning how to speak, I realized it was really important that I kind of reconnect with that part of myself and started to try to learn the Okanagan language, which is called the Silk. And very few people know how to speak it. My parents didn't speak it. My parents' generation in general didn't really speak it, mostly due to residential schools. The last fluent speaker was my grandmother, Leona Stokaya, and she was very near and dear to me. And it was her passing and her funeral, attending her funeral, where the constant theme was about the loss of language and the loss of culture through loss of language, and how these ripples of residential school are still affecting us. And we have a lot of work to do to reverse the harm that's been done.
For Francis, it did not stop at reconnecting. It became something to pass on.
Just how kind of, I guess, selfishly I've lived my life in a sense. Like you're just kind of like doing your own thing, building your own family, building your own kind of path, and not really thinking about the community, not really thinking about heritage or my parents' legacy or my grandparents' legacy or anything like that. I mean, even my name, I'm named after my grandfather, Francis Baptiste, who was an artist and a rodeo man, and thinking like I kind of owe this to my lineage to try to preserve things. And so I started incorporating bits of the language into songs as a way to teach it to myself, teach it to my son, and also to kind of document it so that like even after I'm dead and gone, there'll be bits of this language in these songs, and hopefully future generations of Osage Indian band kids can listen to these songs and be like, oh, that's, Uncle Francis, Grandpa Francis wrote these songs, and now it's kind of like solidified this little bit of the language.
And once he knew what he wanted to carry, the next question was how to shape it into song.
Basically, like I have like language tutors back home. Shout out to my buddy Levi Bent, who's younger than me and took a couple years to focus his energy on learning the language, and now he's like one of our few fluent speakers. And I will kind of like write a short poem basically and send it to Levi and ask him to translate it, and he'll translate it, and then he'll send me back audio files like of just voice memos on his phone. So he'll send me the written part and the voice memos, and then I'll spend like a couple weeks practicing it basically just to kind of get it, to learn it, because it's like my language level is like very beginner still. It's very difficult. There's not a lot of resources, and plus I'm like 41 and it's hard to find time to learn a dead language.
How long is the winter of our discontent?
And one song in particular stayed close to all of this.
First song from the first album, which is called Snəqsilx, which translates loosely to family or relations, has always been really important to me, and has always been kind of a centerpiece of my performance, because it was the first song that kind of started this whole journey of learning the language. And the lyrics to the song are it's basically just a vocabulary list. It's like brother, cousin, father, or parents, grandparents. It's like teaching your child the family tree. So it's been a really good educational tool for myself and my son. And I don't know, it just has a special place in my heart because it reminds me of home, reminds me of my family.
For him, these songs are not only about the present.
It's funny, like it's a process. I feel like I'm really comfortable using music as a documentation tool, and I want to continue doing that. I was talking to my son about it actually, like, and talking to my partner about how like I kind of imagine each album as being like a snapshot of my life that year, and I'd like to think that the things I'm creating in like 100 years, someone will be like, what was it like being Indigenous in Canada in 2025? And they'll be able to kind of listen to this and read the liner notes and be like, oh, well, this is this particular man's Indigenous experience in this country. So I try to keep everything kind of mindful of the context.
And that was Francis Baptiste. I'm Eric Chan, and you've been listening to Inlet Wire, your direct line to BC artists.